Yeah, and it's good to do a bold selection like that on a derby day because there's a bit more passion and the result means a bit more.
It does. First and foremost, it is the 3 points because of the situation we're in. Whoever you play at the moment, it's a big game because Cardiff need points. But then you add into that the extra factor of it's our second biggest derby after the Swansea game, and Bristol City. They had bragging rights earlier on in the season. What was a lovely, warm, I think it was August day. It's freezing in here in March today, but we need to get those bragging rights back. So yeah, it does just add to the pot. It's what sport and football particularly is all about. But the players, whilst they need to play a derby style mentality, first and foremost in the front of their minds, we're playing for safety and we need a win, we need 3 points.
Yeah, and they were following on from the good form, the 2 back-to-back wins. The Bluebirds did lose away from home to Norwich last time out, but we wanted to keep the momentum. It was still a good performance, and they're wanting to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, they will. And the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I listened to it on audio commentary on Cardiff City TV. Cardiff had the best of it. If they'd have scored, they could have gone on to take something from that match, possibly all 3 points. That's been the problem all season, Ali. We don't score at the right times, and that's why the manager, I think, has gone with an exciting and brave team selection today. I don't think we lost a lot of momentum against Norwich last week. I don't think it's a game that we necessarily expected to get too much out of, but the performance in the first half, particularly the first half an hour, still showed that Cardiff are improving, I think, under Sabri Lamucci. So, yeah, disappointment, but I don't think it's knocked us off our stride. The 2 wins before that, I think the fans were energised, and I hope to see that continue today.
Yeah, and I think the players were energised with the momentum and the pushing forwards. We're to the business end of the season now, so every point matters. However, Bristol City are in fantastic form in the league. Obviously, they lost the cup game in the week to Man City, although the 3-0 scoreline didn't really reflect the game, but they are 9 games unbeaten in the league. So the Bluebirds have their work cut out today.
It's a huge task. It's always a huge task when you're playing a team with confidence, and we know what it's going to be like, Ali. I imagine hopefully Cardiff will start well, but if they don't score in the first 15 minutes or the first half hour, what have you, you start to have those self-doubts and it'll start creeping in the crowd. And that's where Bristol City's extra confidence, they know they can win games at the moment, they know they can be solid, they know they can score goals, and if it's a tight game going into the second half, that's what they'll be hoping. They'll be hoping then that they can nick it, and that confidence plays a big part. Since they've moved to a back 4, they've been excellent. Their fans are raving about Matty James, the experienced midfielder, sits in front of the back 4, protects them, a similar job to Romain Sawyers is doing for Cardiff. And Mehmeti, you mentioned him, the player who was cup-tied in midweek, the great quote by, you're allowed to have fans from opposition clubs. We don't talk on Derby week, but I spoke to a friend of mine who's a Bristol City fan, and his quote about Mehmeti, he can nutmeg a mermaid, which I like, so I might steal that and use that in commentary. So yeah, Mehmeti is a danger man. It's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't think it's going to be a 4-3. It's Derby Day. It's going to be tight. Hopefully Cardiff City can come out on the right side of it.
Yeah, and then once they get the momentum which we had from the 2 back-to-back wins, if they can continue that and we keep going through, the sort of the back end of the season, towards the end of the season, the Bluebirds could be looking to move up to mid-table if they start getting a run of wins together.
That would be a dream, Ali. First things first, let's get away from where we are at the moment. The thing is,
4 points clear at the moment.
4 points clear at the moment, and the big thing for Cardiff, Ali, they're always going to be in games because their defensive record of all the teams in the bottom half, even a lot of the teams in the top half, is good. They're always going to be in games because more often than not, they're sound defensively. We've said this the last 20 weeks of the season, Ali. Will we score enough goals? Hopefully today, we do.
So you're expecting low scoring today? You're not expecting many goals?
I think it'll be best of three, and I'm taking my last comment before Jamie, our director, throws us off. I'm taking a 2-1 win to Cardiff.
Okay, well we'll take that. We heard from the manager, as always, as he previewed today's game.
I saw them for the beginning of the week. Very, very focused for the derby. As you know, derby for our fans, for the club, for the people here, really important for them as well. So really focus on the session training, on come back with the right mentality, and to try to do the best we can in a session training for Saturday. Really important games to play. This for sure is like a 12 final, and the final is not to play, is to win the final. So we will not win the 12 final for sure, but the idea is to win minimum 5 and to try to save the club as soon as possible. That's it. This is what the deal from the beginning. I'm now 1 month here in the club. Fantastic club, fantastic environment, infrastructure. The squad is good enough to try to win the next 5 games. 5 games is possible. It's game by game, and the next one is the derby. Derby is will be difficult because, as you can imagine, I watched the game against City. I was impressed about the performance from Bristol. They play well, good squad, young players, good manager with a lot of experience. They will perform. They performed on FA Cup, and they will perform on Saturday. Don't worry about that. Derby is the derby. As a manager, how is important for the fans, for the club, for the players, but the players, they know that as well. So will be the same for Bristol players.
Just to preview a little bit closer into the Bristol City side, and as we mentioned, only one change from that outing at midweek in the FA Cup, which they lost 3-0 to Man City, but they had a great performance. Their defensive back line was very good, doesn't really reflect the score. The one change, obviously, because he was cup tied, so he couldn't play, but what do you make of sort of their starting 11 today?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason they're not making any changes, and it's twofold. They say they're in really good form at the moment. They are unbeaten in this calendar year, other than the couple off in midweek to Man City. And like you said, they played really well, held their own for a large part of that. 2 late goals, saw them off.
Yeah, there was an early goal and 2 very, very late goals.
They got through some running, but they actually I thought they played some decent stuff as well first half, and went toe to toe for a little bit with a brilliant Man City team. So you can't turn your nose up at that. And yeah, they've just been in very good form. 9 matches unbeaten in the Championship, throw in a couple of FA Cup games, 2 of them against Swansea, which helps anyone's record at the moment, doesn't it? You might regret that come April. But apart from that, they're looking really good. And the other reason is they've gone through a period, the last couple of windows, where they've really contracted the squad, and they don't have a great deal of depth to choose from. Some injuries have exacerbated that. They're missing Carl Naismith at the back, so Thomas Callas, a big experienced professional, comes into the back in the last few games. He'll help matters. He's had some really good games on this ground in recent years. Look, we're in particularly poor form against Bristol City here at home. It used to be a bit of a fortress for us. We've lost 3 on a bounce, something we need to address this afternoon. Yeah,
and Nigel Pearson has said he's expecting the Bluebirds to come out quickly, start strong. So they'll be looking, to obviously put those defensive skills straight away, and then JP said earlier, doesn't expect many goals, but it's going to be, I think, right from the kick-off.
Yeah, we're certainly not going to expect many goals from Cardiff. It's been our Achilles heel all season long, lowest scorers in the league. I think if you look at Bristol City, I think they're averaging over 2.5 goals per game in terms of the game as a whole of their last 6 games. So there are goals in games with Bristol City, but if anything's proven, especially here at home in the last few seasons, the first goal is so important in Cardiff City matches here. I think if either team get off to a hot start, then it's going to be difficult to get back in a game, I think.
And Bristol are currently 13th in the table, but with their sort of the 9 games unbeaten, they are really wanting to push. So they're potentially top 6 they're looking at.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit too far off for them at the moment. Never say never. You said there's games to go. A bit of momentum does wonders. But I think they've probably left it a little bit too late for that run. I think what they're looking at now is Nigel Pearson's got through a really sticky period here. There were at times where I think he'd have asked Bristol City fans, and even the ones who didn't want him gone, they wouldn't have been disappointed to see that happen. He's really turned this ship around.
Well, they had a really slow start.
They certainly did. And And I think now it's about putting down some foundations for next season and saying, look, can we work with a really small squad, which they are at the moment, brought in a couple of quality acquisitions in January to just fill that out a little, and can we put in some foundations that come August with some building to the squad again that we can really push on next season.
Any particular players that are going to be trouble today for the Bluebirds?
Plenty, actually. Yeah, I mean, Alex Scott is a wonderful young player. He was brilliant in midweek. It's the versatility as well. At the age of 19, he's probably going to play as ostensibly as the 10 this afternoon. He'll certainly be the most forward-thinking of the three in the middle of the park. He's equally capable, drifting wide, causing problems. And for a 19-year-old, what's impressed me is whenever they've asked him to play in the middle of the park and get in amongst it at the championship level, he's not intimidated by that. They've also got a wonderful footballer in Anis Mehmeti on the left-hand side. I'm astonished that Bristol City were seemingly able to pluck him away from Wycombe without anyone else taking a look. You look at the likes of Norwich and other teams, sniffing around those playoff promotion places. I'm really surprised somebody else pushing for promotion didn't get in there and grab him ahead of them in January.
And I think they missed Mehmeti in the midweek game because obviously he couldn't play due to being cup-tied.
And they didn't have Harry Cornick as an option as well because he was cup-tied as well. So they missed that little bit of guile off the left-hand side. Sam Bell getting the start. Good young striker. They're missing Tommy Conway, another good young striker who did well against us in the reverse fixture. So I'm surprised a little bit that Bell has got the option and not Naki Wells. A bit more of a veteran presence playing as the 9 up there through the middle. But it's put faith. He's put faith in the young players that have served him well so far, and impressed by that.
And what do you make of the bold starting 11 for the Bluebirds?
I like it. Look, you look at who's in form outside of those players for Bristol City, and Mark Sykes on this right-hand side. They brought him in to be a versatile presence on the right-hand side, played as a wing-back for most of the last season at Oxford, has played as a right-back for Bristol City earlier on in the season. And he'll get up and down that right-hand side with energy. Mehmeti on the left-hand side. Pring will get forward from left-back. So I think Sabri and Sol and the rest of the coaching staff have looked at that and they thought, you know what, let's be bold, play 2 wingers up against them and try and force them back and do a bit of defending in their own right a little bit. And you've got the option of Romeo and O'Dowd off the bench if you need to be a bit more pragmatic come 60 minutes. Hopefully that's the case and you've got yourself a bit of a buffer and you can start to make some tactical adjustments.
Yeah, and hopefully we see a Bluebirds goal early on just to get that momentum and keep the spirits high, because it does drop if they don't start off a game well, especially at home.
Yeah, look, we're a football club that have had problems with derby games in recent seasons, and rightfully all of the attention gets put on the Swansea games for that. But let's not forget that we've been pretty wretched in Bristol City games, certainly here at home in recent season. Let alone results, we're not scoring goals. So there is an opportunity here today. We know the new faces, new signings. There's an opportunity for a lot of players to make a hero of themselves here today. And we've got strikers in Cabba and Wycombe from the start and others waiting in reserve who are still looking to get going in a Cardiff shirt. So there really is an opportunity to make a hero for yourself. Obviously,
Callum Robinson is out, I think, until after the international break, it's looking like. Do you think he'll be missed today?
Oh, absolutely. A player of his quality and his ability to find space more than anything.
And our top goal scorer, which is what we need.
And he pops up with goals, so I think, that is still the question mark around Cardiff at the moment, is not just the goals, but how do you find a combination that gets the best out of this formation? We've tried Cabba and Atete together. We tried Philogene through the middle last week to counteract the fact that Robinson isn't available. We've gone with Wycombe and Cabba as a bit more of a physical presence there this afternoon. I think it's probably the right approach when you think they're having to bring Thomas Callas in and all his physical presence and experience. So it'll be an interesting tactical battle.
Well, we'll see how it goes, but it's always a big one for Derby Day. Kick-off is just around the corner. Just a reminder, you can watch worldwide, including in the UK, on Cardiff City TV with your Matchday pass. And we have a special guest who's watching at the game today. It is former world champion Joe Cordina, who is looking to become 2-time world champion on the 22nd of April. And I caught up with him a little bit earlier. Today we'll talk about in a minute, but we want to talk about what you've got going on, and you've got another world title fight coming up with your aim to become 2-time world champion.
Yeah, of course, and the fight is back in my hometown. It's just a shame it's not here. It's it's too early on in the year to have a show here. But this is my main goal, is to fight here one day. But yeah, nevertheless, I got another world title shot, and it's back in my hometown. There's not much more I can ask. So yeah, I just got to go out there and do the job.
Yeah, and it's in the same place as you won your previous world title. In case people don't know, you were stripped of the world title because you were unable to defend it due to a hand injury.
Yeah.
You're back in camp now and you're raring to go.
Yeah, like you said, I got stripped. It was out of my hands. I couldn't do nothing. There's a hand injury. It happens in boxing. But yeah, I got a chance to do it again. I was actually I was at the venue last night, and I was doing a little run through and walk around, and just walking through reliving the steps really of what happened. I was even in the centre of the arena. I could tell you exactly where, if I put the ring there, exactly where I put him over. And yeah, it was a bit surreal. It was empty, but yeah, to relive the moment in an empty arena was mad. And yeah, I'm just glad I got the shot again, and to do it back in my hometown and where I won a world title is going to be special the second time around.
It was a fantastic knockout in that first world title fight. What are you expecting from Rakhimov this time?
Listen,
it's going to be a different type of fight.
Yeah, it's going to be. He's going to bring it. It's not going to be cagey. I think the first round in my previous fight was cagey. This one's going to be not some. Well, it's not going to be cagey at all. He's going to come. He's going to try and take my head off. But at the same time, I'm a smart fighter. I was saying it last night. Some people rely on this and go in there with this. I got this and that. So I got a brain. I'm going to be smart, and I'm going to get the win. It doesn't matter how I get the win, but as long as I get the win, whether I knock him out, beat him on points, or it's a hard 12-round fight when it goes to a split decision. But I will get the win, however means necessary.
And we've got, I think, 7 weeks to go.
7 weeks today.
How is camp going?
It's hard. I started extra early this time around, so I started 14 weeks out, sort of ticking over, doing my little bits, doing my early mornings, because they count them, and I've been ticking them off for the past few weeks. Yeah, they're very hard. We done one. My legs are still aching. I had to get a session in this morning and last night. So yeah, I've started early. I've given myself the best preparation. And yeah, if I need to pull back at any point, I can. I've got that luxury of time where I've started early. I've put them sessions in the bank. So if I need to pull back, I will. But I'm in a good place at the minute.
Well, it's 22nd of April at the Most Point Arena. It's going to be another magical night, and hope you do it again for Wales. But today, obviously, this game, it is a seven-side derby. The Bluebirds against Bristol City. What are you expecting today?
Listen, it's a hard game, and it is a derby. Like people going about Swansea, but this is just as important. They're next door neighbours, so for us, it's a massive game, and it's a must win. And listen, we're in a position at the minute. Every game counts, and every point counts. So we need to get a win today, and I believe today we will. I think all the supporters are going to turn out and rear on the team. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And how good is it that you're here today watching? Because I bet you miss quite a lot of matches because you're away in Essex in camp.
Yeah, I do, and I get Carl Lobeck, who's a friend of mine. He's always with the director, and he's like, "Oh, listen, do you want to come to the game? Get to the game?" And every week I got to knock him back because I'm in camp. And it's only when I'm out of camp I'm able to come in and support. And luckily this week it was a weekend off, and I came home to be with the family, and I got a couple of things I need to deal with over the weekend. So I thought this is a perfect opportunity to get to a match, and none better to do it at Bristol and Cardiff game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the match, and I'm hoping we get that win.
And I think you're doing a little something at half time as well, so the fans will enjoy that.
Yeah, I hope I'm not kicking a ball unless I got boots. I got new Jordan 4s on, so yeah, I'll have a go, and I hope I don't pull a muscle because I don't think Eddie will be too happy.
Definitely not. Well, best of luck for April 22nd. We're all behind you.
Thank you. Cheers,
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Top 5 in association with the Big Yellow Self-Storage Company.
turn away from Brian. Square ball to Pilkington on his right foot. What a goal! Anthony Pilkington from 25 yards has stunned Ashton Gate. Bristol City 2, Cardiff City 3.
Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV.
What a finish, what a goal!
Good afternoon, welcome to Matchday Live, courtesy of Cardiff City TV, for today's seven-side derby between the Bluebirds and Bristol City. There's a bumper crowd here at home waiting to embrace the two teams. Two teams who will be disappointed with where they start the day, given the context of expectations at the start of the season, but it's where they find themselves. Bristol City on the up, Cardiff hoping to join them off the back of some recent positive results. A first win in 4 in this fixture at home would go a long way to securing Cardiff's championship status for next season. Bristol City yet to taste defeat in 2023 in the championship, and the two teams led out by captains this afternoon, Matty James, and for Cardiff City, Joe Rolls. There are changes for the Bluebirds this afternoon, and they are positive ones. Cardiff playing Shea Ojo and Jayden Philogene, ostensibly wingers, in the wing-back positions this afternoon. Callum O'Dowda and Marlon Romeo drop to the bench as a result. And up top, it's the pairing of Sorry Cabot and Connor Wickham who get the nod from Sabri Lamouchi. Midfield 3 of Joe Rolls, Ryan Wintle and Romain Sawyers will be crucial as ever. And on the bench, 2 youngsters make their return to the matchday squad in Ruben Colwell and Isaac Davis, both relegated to under-21 duty in recent weeks to get some minutes in the legs. For Bristol City, just the one change from the side that lost by 3-0 to Manchester City in FA Cup action in the week. Anis Mehmeti, a January signing from Wigan, cup-tied on that evening. He comes back into the left-hand side of the attacking line. Young Sam Bell moves into the centre-forward position. Naki Wells drops to the bench. There's Nigel Pearson, a familiar foe for Cardiff City over the years. In fact, has lost just one of his last 7 encounters with the Bluebirds. For that defeat, Conor Pearce, you've got to go all the way back to December 2012 and a Craig Bellamy goal at Leicester City. Things are set up quite nicely and tastily this afternoon.
Certainly are, Ash. We spoke last week at Norwich, myself and Mark. But maybe those games aren't the ones that you expect points from, that you need points from. Norwich away. This one, home fixture, derby match, that old saying that form goes out the window and it's all about who puts in more on the day.